Hello guys, this is Man Discovers. You have finally made it to the channel that values honesty above all else.
Welcome to the channel.
First things first, I'm taking this video from my bedroom actually. If you want to know why, you can watch the previous video and find out. I've kind of been confined to my bedroom to make video recordings because everywhere else in the house, well, yeah, watch the other video. So today's video is going to be about the SVS 3000 Micro. And that launched in 2021. Now, I've had this subwoofer for a while now, and I feel that what makes this review a little bit different is that I've had it for such a long time, whereas other reviewers, they might only have like 1 or 2 days with like a product before they, you know, do a review on it. So yeah, I feel like I have quite a lot to say on this subwoofer. So let's get on with the review. So first of all, what makes it special is that it's a dual opposing subwoofer, which means it has 2 drivers either side, and they are in a push-push arrangement, which means that they're both firing. And what it means is that the subwoofer can be more powerful but more compact at the same time. That's what makes it really good. And amplification wise, we have 800 watts on board, Class D RMS. And I think what makes it quite unique is that it has 2,500 watts peak dynamic power. So in terms of headroom, it looks like this amplifier it has a lot of headroom compared to other amplifiers, subwoofer amplifiers in the market, where you typically find dynamic power is double the RMS, or sometimes even less. So that's one thing I noticed. 8-inch drivers, high excursion. So I've looked at what this high excursion means exactly, because what does that mean? It just means, you know, according to whom is it high excursion. So SVS say that the X max of these drivers is 24 millimeter, but with an X max 24 millimeter, it could also mean that it's not like the distance between rest position and out. It could be all the way. So 24 mil, I think it's referring to not the rest position, it's full way. So from rest to full excursion is probably going to be 12 millimeters, and I couldn't find the exact specification on that, but that's my guess. On board, it has a DSP that's customizable via the SVS app, which you control via a Bluetooth connection. And by the way, I feel that it's actually very, very good. 3-band parametric EQ on board as well, and other things that you can control like phase, crossover slopes, etc. And sorry for the wobbly camera, I'm literally holding it on one of those selfie stick things. So yeah, one thing I noticed was the subwoofer was very light, 10.2 kilograms, and for some people that might be concerning. You know, I didn't feel it translated too much into the quality at this price point in terms of the sound quality. The price is £899 in the UK, and in the USA it's $800, $900. And I feel that it costs significantly less than the KEF KC62, which I feel is the nearest competitor to this subwoofer. And that's, you know, that's almost double the price depending on where you live. Yes, in the world. So design wise, this subwoofer, the SVS, I don't think it's going to win any design awards, but I feel it's a respectable design. It has, you know, it's pretty square with rounded corners, 2 grills either side. You have a gloss black finish, you have a gloss white finish, and yeah, that's about it. I think what is quite impressive is the back, the rear of the subwoofer is quite clean. The buttons are flush to the back, which also makes it easy to clean as well. What has gone from previous SVS designs is the annoying blue LED light, which the 2000, the SB 2000 that I used to have had at the front, which was really, really annoying. So that's gone. Yippee. The next section is the ease of setup. Now, I feel that this subwoofer is quite unique in that it can be either very easy to set up or very complicated to set up, and it really depends on what you want. If you want to set this subwoofer up the easy way, it's very easy. You just plug the subwoofer in, you connect to the SVS Bluetooth app, and then you can pick one of the preset EQs on the app if you want to. If you want to watch movies with this sub, just set it into LFE mode and Bob's your uncle. Connect it to your receiver and you're good to go. If you want to, and you can also run the receivers, your receivers, if you have a home cinema receiver, you can run its calibration cycle. So that's that. Now, if you want to go down the complicated route, just like, you know, get that little bit extra finesse to your sound, you might want to be trying to match this subwoofer to a pair of stereo speakers. You can do it with a microphone. You can buy a calibration microphone. You can use Room EQ Wizard or anything like that. And you can input some settings into the parametric EQ in the subwoofer app, in the SVS app. Or you could even try doing it by ear and adjust the sound to your liking. If you feel that, you know, you'd rather do it by ear, because at the end of the day, it's what your ear likes, not what the microphone likes all the time. So yeah, I mean, I feel like the standout feature of this SVS is the level of customization. You're free to customize it as you want. You can do it the easy route, you can do it the complex route, you can do it, you know, you can complicate things as much as you like. And I think that's a very unique feature about this sub. And I feel like that makes it easily ahead of the competition, if not all competition out there other than SVS, of course. Nothing else comes to mind that has that sort of power that in your hands over the subwoofer setup. So yeah, that's a win for me. Let's move on to the sound quality now in movies. Okay, so I've played around with this subwoofer as mentioned, and it's been about a month, if not a little bit more, and I found it pretty much excellent for movies. It easily punches above its weight in small to medium sized rooms. I connected it to my Teufel THX system, which is powered by a Yamaha 3000 series Aventage receiver. For those of you who don't know, the Teufel THX, they are sealed LCR speakers, and you know, they're very high value for money. They're dedicated cinema speakers, not really for music listening. They're still decent for music listening, but where they really shine is home cinema. And I felt that this SVS really blended well with these Teufels. I also connected it to the Sennheiser Ambio soundbar, if anybody is interested in connecting a subwoofer to their soundbar. I ran the built-in calibration tools, the calibration setup, sorry, with both the Yamaha and the Sennheiser, because the Sennheiser has one too. But we will start this part of the review talking about how the SVS blended with the Teufels and the Yamaha Aventage receiver. So yes, what I found was that this sub, compared to my other sub, the XTZ 1217 Edge, I've also had other subs very recently, the PC 2000 by SVS, BK Monolith Plus, you know, I've had big subs in the room as well. What I found is that this subwoofer really like allowed the Teufel system, the Teufel LCRs specifically, to shine through. The details that you could hear, it just, everything just seemed a lot more clear and transparent. Dialogue, I felt, was very good. You know, as good as it could be given my room acoustics as well, and the fact that my center speaker is plonked on top of an AV unit, which isn't the most ideal, but I felt like the, you know, the center dialogue cleared up a little bit too with this subwoofer. The subwoofer gave me the impression pretty much at all times that it wasn't interfering with the sound from the other speakers in the system, and it wasn't smearing the audio. So that's really what you want from a subwoofer. You want the subwoofer to serve the system. You don't really want it the other way around, where your system is trying to catch up with your subwoofer. So yeah, unless all you care about in movies is bass effects, and you couldn't actually care less about what the people are saying. But yeah, I do. Now the question is, how good is the subwoofer for the price? Okay, well, if you think about it, for £100 more, you could go for a ported sub. You could buy the PC 2000, like I said, the Pro, sorry. I've tested that. You could also get the SVS SB 2000 Pro for that money, similarly sized to this, and it's a few inches bigger all round, you know, just a teeny bit bigger. So I'd say similarly sized. So yeah, if you want to see how well this subwoofer, the 3000 micro, fares against those other SVS subs, now might be a time for you to subscribe to this channel, as future videos are coming on this topic. But I'll give you a spoiler, the 3000 micro does do a great job for its size and its price, and a lot of it is dependent on your room acoustics and what you're partnering the sub with. So more of that in future videos. Next up, let's talk about how well it partnered with the Sennheiser Ambio soundbar, and I think that it made a huge difference to the Ambio soundbar. It's one of those soundbars, the Sennheiser, that where they promise, you know, that you don't have to get a subwoofer, you know, it does it all in one, and apparently the Sennheiser Ambio can hit 30 hertz without the need for a sub. Not quite this experience I had in practice. And yeah, I felt like when I added the SVS to the system, it made all the difference. Especially because you have a Sennheiser Ambio sitting on top of an AV cabinet, and I don't feel like that's like the best place to be putting your bass frequencies, on top of a cabinet, or just the, you know, if you understand how people position these things, I just don't feel like that's the best place. Anyway, it did make a big difference. And of course we got more bass extension and bass weight, and it made the system sound a lot bigger. You know, at times I felt like, you know, this is quite good cinema sound here. At first it didn't partner with the Sennheiser, but that was because the Sennheiser needed a firmware update to actually work. So that's that. After the calibration was done, because the Sennheiser did calibrate the SVS too, the integration between both the soundbar and the subwoofer, to my ears, it was seamless, and I couldn't hear the crossover between the SVS and the Ambio, and I really did think I was going to hear a difference, it being a soundbar. And you know, maybe you might think, oh, it's going to be a bit tinny, you'll be able to pick out the difference. I really couldn't. I had to actually go up to the SVS and literally put my ear on it, and yeah, you know, figure out that it was actually off. Joking, no, it was on, of course. So yeah, if you're looking for a sweet subwoofer to partner with a soundbar, I feel like this is a decent subwoofer underneath the £1,000 budget. Obviously, I would say look no further. I think this is a very good one. You could also go for a ported subwoofer, or a passive radiator subwoofer, which is basically the same thing as a ported, really. But you know, I feel like this one is good enough, it's powerful enough if you're putting it in a small to medium sized space. In larger rooms, I feel like the 3000 micro is going to fall short, because, you know, if you think about the law of large dimensions, you know, you can have floor space in a room, like area, but volume increases by a bigger proportion than area does. And with subwoofers, that's what we care about. It's the volume of the room, not the area of the room. Okay, because the subwoofer is pressurizing the volume of the room with sound. Okay, so yeah, in larger rooms than mine, I feel like the 3000 micro is going to struggle, because in my room it was good, but you could sense that it was on the edge at times. And those sub 35 hertz notes, you know, they didn't have the same thud as other ported speakers that I've heard, or even sealed subwoofers, sorry, that I've heard in the past. So that's that. What else can we say? Yeah, at times I heard a few buzzing noises from the cabinet every now and again on a certain note, let's say. You know, it was distracting every now and again. I was listening at above average level. I would consider my definition of loud to be louder than someone else's definition of loud. Just what I've observed in the past when I compare. You know, people always thinking I'm turning it up too loud, so that's what I'm trying to say. Perhaps I'm going deaf. But anyway, yeah, let's move on to music. So I think with movies overall, the SVS was very good, and I think it did do its job for its price. Now, with music is where I was also quite impressed too, because with music, the subwoofer isn't going to run out of, you know, headroom so much like it would do in movies, because it's in a music setting, it's taking more of a back seat, let's say, compared to the rest of what's going on. Whereas in a movie, a subwoofer has its own channel. So, you know, and there's lots of bass effects in movies, so the subwoofer has more to do. Now, I'd seen some other reviews about this subwoofer compared to the KC62. Won't name the reviewer, because I think maybe it's a bit unfair to do so. But apparently this subwoofer isn't as good as the KC62 for music. And I think that that statement is also a little bit unfair too. Because my question is, did those reviewers take time to set this subwoofer up properly? Did they try to match this subwoofer to the speakers that they were listening to? And when I first tested the SVS 3000 Micro alongside my Monitor Audio Studios, I felt that it didn't sound very well integrated. It sounded a little bit looser than what I had heard a couple days before with the KC62 from Kef. So I thought, oh no, you know, it's not going to be as good. But anyway, you have to set the subwoofer up. So I thought, let's persist, let's get the app out, let's see what we can do. So after about 15 to 30 minutes of just tweaking the sound, and literally by ear, okay, using the app and using the functions, I got the subwoofer to match a lot better. And in fact, maybe a bit better than the KC62. So simply by adjusting the phase, and there's actually a feature on the app. It's called small room compensation. I believe it's called, from memory, either small room correction or small room compensation, I think. And if you activate that, it's basically designed to, it takes into account that smaller rooms will add a lot more room gain to your sound, and that can result in more smear. It can result in that looser kind of sounding bass. And just simply activating that, and that, you know, it felt a lot more timely and more with it. So I suspect other people who, you know, obviously I did parametric EQ too, but I mean, that one setting was enough to make a big difference. So I suspect other people who reviewed this sub and said it was loose sounding, you know, compared to the KC62, perhaps they didn't go through the effort of really calibrating the sub and getting it to match the stereo speakers. So that's the whole point of this sub. You get the DSP on board, you get the, you know, the app, use it, you know. So yeah. And if you have a small room, a subwoofer in a room is always a difficult thing to control. You know, one way to do it is to get a second sub. It's almost like an active bass trap, a second subwoofer. Another thing you can get is a bass trap as well, or bass traps in your room, you know, in terms of acoustic treatment, which will have to be very thick and is not generally a very good option for a lot of people. So it's just seriously, just a second subwoofer can help. But another thing that can help is DSP, and that's why you have it on the SVS, the subwoofers. That's why the app has it, and that's why there's a small room compensation feature. So yeah, overall I felt that the SVS 3000 Micro, it partnered very well with the Monitor Audio Studios that I have, and they're not bad speakers, you know, they're decent speakers, you know, very snappy sounding speakers as well. So I feel like it just makes life a lot easier if you're just using a pair of stereo speakers and you're connecting it to a stereo amplifier, let's say. You know, usually you would need a device like a mini DSP unit that you would plug in between the source and the subwoofer to run your settings. But with this thing, it just makes it so much easier, and that's why I would recommend it. But if I had a negative thing to say about it, one thing I would say it's the price, because in the UK I feel like we've got the short end of the stick. I think that's, yeah, short end of the straw or whatever it is. Short end of the stick, I think, because in the USA it's I think it's $899, where over here it's £899. So I feel like, yeah, I feel like we've got the bad deal here. If you work that out, it doesn't quite work out, does it? You know, I see that quite a lot now. So yeah, what else can I say? Yeah, another thing was that if you go for SVS's other models, they're all compatible with the SVS SoundPath isolation feet, which do make a very good difference, I think. This subwoofer, the 3000 Micro, is not compatible with that. So yeah, you know, I feel like, yeah, you could have improved it even more, but you can't do it. I guess SVS are trying to maintain the aesthetics of the compact subwoofer, you know, the appeal, I would say. But still, I mean, it would be nice to have some sort of isolation system, you know, just to improve things further. So that's that. In the UK, yeah, in the UK, I mean, what are the alternatives to this? And that's why I feel like the SVS is still a good buy, because there isn't really a great alternative to this at the sub £1,000 price point that has two 8-inch high excursion drivers with DSP built in. You know, a dedicated app. I don't feel like there's lots out there. I don't think there's anything out there really that has all that. But in the UK, there is a brand called BK, and there's the BK XXLS 400, which is a sealed sub. I believe it's about 500 quid or lower. So it's about half the price of the 3000 Micro. It's a bit bigger. It's a bit bigger, but it's also half the price. You could get two for the same thing. So I feel like if you don't really care too much about the DSP and you have a way of controlling that, then maybe something like the BK is a better value for money. But if you want it to be simple and you want it to be all in one, then I feel like the SVS is a good way to go. Take into account the SVS is going to probably have good residual value as well, because, you know, it's a well-known brand, and like I said earlier, there's not many competitors in this space at the moment. So I feel like the residual values of this subwoofer is going to be good for people who like to buy and sell and trade up and whatever, you know, go through phases, different speakers, different subs. If people like doing that, I feel like the SVS is going to be decent. That brings me to the end of the review. If you haven't subscribed already, go and do so. Sorry for the shaky camera that we have today, but we have some issues in the house at the moment. But I hope that this was still good for you and you learned something from it. But if you didn't, or if I didn't answer any questions specifically, put them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
Now you subscribe or I smash you.